moment. Patricia, a very good morning to you. What is likely to happen today?
Well, a very good morning. All eyes fall on the Pretoria High Court as, of course, the much anticipated judgment into the so-called Dros case is expected to unfold here in the High Court. You would know that the 21-year-old Nicholas Ninow has pleaded guilty to raping a 7-year-old last year in the Dros restaurant here in Pretoria. And, of course, you can see the gallery is already packed to capacity with members of the ANC Women's League as we all gear up to hear exactly how the judge will rule in this particular matter. But it seems like it is a clear case at this juncture as, of course, the accused has already pleaded guilty. He has admitted to having raped the minor last year. So it is perhaps expected that the judge will, of course, find him guilty as he has already admitted to that. But I think the crux of the matter now falls on how exactly the sentencing will be influenced by, of course, the judgment. And just to take it further, now you would understand last week during the trial, there was a lot of uproar when the minor in this particular case had to come and testify. And, of course, ordinary South Africans are being outraged, some of them saying that actually the action by the prosecution team would subject her to a secondary trauma. She would be reliving the devastation of that dreadful day when Nicholas Ninow barged into apparently the toilet where the minor was and actually raped her. So South Africans were not happy with why she was actually called to testify. Now you'd understand that she testified in camera, and that is, of course, the process, the legal process that unfolds when a minor testifies, in particular in a sensitive case such as this. And just to unpack to you how exactly it unfolds in this particular manner, just so that the public also understands why it was necessary. In the instance where, of course, the victim would, or rather the accused would then enter into a plea, guilty plea, it then becomes necessary for the judge to then ask the prosecution whether the plea statement that the accused submits responds with the state's case. That's the one. And of course, the second question would be the obvious one, whether the state agrees with the facts that the accused has stipulated in the so-called statement. And if the state then feels that there are contradictory facts that are actually stipulated in the accused's statement, then it becomes necessary for the state to call in the victim so that the state can actually substantiate their case. Because at the end of the day, pleading guilty is one thing, but actually getting the appropriate sentence for the crime is another thing. And it was actually for that particular reason why the state found it fit to call in the minor to come and testify, because Nicholas Ninow had a different version in terms of what happened. You would remember that in one of his statements, he said that the minor actually followed him into the male bathroom. He did not go into the female bathroom. And he is also saying that he was not aware of what he was doing. He acted impulsively so. But the state has a different version. The state saying that he knew exactly what he was doing. It was premeditated. He followed the minor into the cubicle and he acted with the intention to commit the act of rape. So it was necessary to obviously hear the version of the minor to support the, of course, statement of premeditated action in this particular case. And, of course, the public also worrying about whether the child was protected in the instance where a minor would be testifying. Of course, there are certain processes that unfold before that happens, and that would be the psychological process. Of course, the child would have had to undergo psychological assessment to see that she is fit enough to be able to understand what is happening. and she would, of course, be protected from the whole situation. And in this case, obviously, she testified in camera. She was, of course, in the presence of social workers. And normally how it works is that the child would be in a child protected box, meaning that she cannot see the perpetrator and she can't see the rest of the courtroom. But, of course, there would be a CCTV camera, and it is normally a one-way camera, meaning the judge and the rest of the legal team, including the accused, would be able to see the child and hear the child's testimony, but the child cannot see them. And the social worker in charge would then, of course, translate the questions from the defense and the prosecution, and they would break down those questions in a child-friendly manner to the child, so that the child can, of course, respond in that particular way and guide the child through the whole process. So it is a process that might be grueling and might be painful, but in the interest of justice, it is a necessary process, and it goes to the heart of the sentence that has been called for. You'd understand the state saying premeditated murder, meaning the state is pushing for the maximum sentence, and that would be perhaps a life sentence without parole. And that is what the activists are also calling for. Some of the activists even saying that this particular case warrants 2 life sentences, and they want Nicholas Ninow to never come out. He should never be integrated with society after what he has done. Many of them also going an extent further, saying with the scourge of sexual violence in the country and the scourge of rape in the country, they perhaps want this particular case, in particular the sentence that would be imposed on Nicholas Ninow, they want that to be used as a deterrent against the scourge of rape. They want to send out a very strong message to other men out there, and any other person who might subject themselves to committing this serious crime, that this will not be tolerated. I see the ANC Women's League seems to be standing by. Let's get their reaction. They are part of the people that have been here since the inception of this particular case. Now, Men Ozipo, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, and you?
I'm fine.
Yes.
This is a case that has sent shockwaves through the country, and of course now we hear where Nicholas Ninow will be, hearing his fate. But the ANC Women's League has been very vocal. Last week you said you actually want him to get 2 life sentences, no parole. Today, what's the mood?
We are still on the same mood. We are saying that he must be sentenced, he must get life sentence, and again with the issue of the parole, because it's something that we need to talk about it. It must be reviewed, but it is our wish that as the ANC Women's League that he must not get a parole. But we are we cannot do what the law doesn't want us to use. So in terms of the law, he is entitled for a parole, but we want to see him in jail, and he must not be in a nice prison. He must be in a maximum prison, so that it can go out there and teach other men that you can't do rape, you can't do abuse, you can't kill.
In particular, children. I mean,
yes,
who
children.
does such a crazy crime, really, against a 7-year-old? Who does that?
It's amazing, really. We ask ourselves that what type of a man is he? And really, at his age, I think the drugs has also contributed. We don't know the background of the upbringing, but really sometimes those things they do, affect, make a very, very, a case. You might find that, the background also of the upbringing. But we are saying that we are not lenient. all those perpetrators used to get lenient sentences, but with this one, the little girl has suffered a lot. The little girl, when she was testifying, we could feel as parents that, if it was your child, she's also our child, because as the leaders of the society, we must make sure that we protect and we make sure that our children are being, they grow up in a very eligible environment.
And it's really about the damage he may have caused to this child. He can get his sanity back at any stage,
yes.
But the process of healing for this young life
Yes.
that he may have impacted on so severely, that is really what is at play here.
That is what you are saying. That is our concern, because really you can get counseling and she'll be cancelled, and what next? So it means the whole future. She's been traumatized. Really. It's something that we can't take as the leadership, as women of South Africa. All of us, not only the Women's League, but other formations that are here, all organizations that are supporting us. I'm not all by myself. I've got the provincial spokesperson of the ANC Women's League, Meche Kimfukeng. She has also have something to say on behalf of the province.
All right, thank you so much. We'll come back a little bit later. I think that is enough for now. There you hear the ANC Women's League just again emphasizing their stance. They want very, very little mercy to be bestowed upon Nicholas Ninow, as they feel that there is perhaps no recourse for what he has done. We'll bring you the live updates on this particular matter throughout the day. I think for now it's back to you in studio.
Yeah, Patricia, it's a case that has caused so much heartbreak and pain for the victim, her family, as well as society at large. As we await the judgment, we will bring it to you the very latest as and when we get it. And, you heard the issue of parole being raised, and it forms part of our poll question of the day. And do you think parole for sexual assault offenders should be scrapped all in all? You can send us your thoughts at the agenda _SABC. We're also asking you a question with regards to Rwanda's high